First of all, I think that there are two types of events around the world in education. There are big events where you have thousands of people and they come there to listen to the new ideas and often share their own views and often get confirmation to their own thinking and directions. And then there are smaller conferences where you have few hundreds of participants, and these are very different events. And I think that the world is now seeing this kind of a divide between two different types of things. Both of them, they have their positive sides. The smaller ones often that I often go to and prefer to go to are the ones where you learn to know everybody very quickly, and you spend a lot of time with the whole group of people. You have wonderful conversations with most of the people. I think the challenge in a big conference like this is that how do you make the benefit out of all these interesting people walking around here. But then on the other hand, you get a huge kind of a range of ideas and experiences and points of view and debates. So I think people are now choosing what type of events, conferences they are going to based on what they want to do. No, this is not my first time in Moscow. I was in Moscow before you were born, first time, and I've been here a lot, but this is my first EdCrunch conference. I think it's too early really to say anything about how the conference is going, but I must say when I walk here in the morning and the opening ceremony was there, it was very dynamic and there's a lot of noise and sound and lights, and so I think it's a kind of interesting welcome for people to come to an event like this. But when I look at the program, all these ideas that looks like a very, very interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to, after my own talk this afternoon, to spend some time and look what other people are saying. Actually, that's a secondary part of my interest and my research. Of course, the important aspect is how children and people learn. But my research and work nowadays is focusing much more on how systems learn. So I'm working on the whole systems, like whole education systems, rather than individual students or teachers or schools. And that's for me, it's a much more complex question, because we, as you know, here in Russia, you talk about tens of thousands of schools, and you have 86 different oblasts or subsystems here. In Finland, we have 311 local education systems, and then this one system. So my interest really is try to better understand how the whole system will change and learn, if you wish, because this is, in the end of the day, this is the most important question. Really, we know by now how to build a successful, great, world-class school, but we still don't quite understand what it takes to turn the whole system into a kind of a high-performing, successful, world-class system, and that's my work right now. Well, I think it's an interesting question, because you can answer that question in a couple of different ways. One is that have we learned something that we should not do when we are trying to turn education systems into successful world-class systems, if you wish. And I think it's equally important to understand what you should not try to do, because it probably hasn't worked anywhere and may be a wrong way to do altogether, rather than try to always find the right way to do these things. It's very hard to say exactly what makes an education system a successful world-class system. It's much easier to identify some of those ways that people have tried in different countries, different systems around the world, but they are not working. And some of those things I'm talking to my audience here in the conference are like, for example, that competition between schools or individuals normally is a bad idea. It hasn't been really leading a kind of a systems improvement where the schools, for example, are competing against one another rather than collaborating against one another. The other one is the standardization of teaching and learning, what the teachers are doing in the school. We know now that the more you try to standardize and set the kind of a common standards for schools to teach and learn things, the harder it becomes for teachers to really teach those things. And we also know that one of those things that is not necessarily a very good idea is to think that more data and more standardized testing and exams somehow would improve the whole system. It certainly will improve some students, some individuals' performance and learning, but at the level of the system, if the aim is to improve the whole education system, the standardized assessments and tests are not necessarily the best idea to move forward. Well, first of all, I would like to say everybody who is watching this, that if you're a teacher, if you work in a classroom most of your time, is that thank you for your work. And this is not only for the teachers here in Russia, but particularly in this country. I think we need to always remember, now we are approaching the International Teachers' Day, and I think it's very important to recognize that one. Then the other one that I want to be absolutely clear with the teachers and schools here in Russia is that you are already doing wonderful things. There are many things that we should actually learn from, how to integrate arts and dance and culture and drama into each and every school. Make a school kind of a lovely place, like a second home for children. I just hope and wish that you will not let those good things go. So I think it's absolutely important that you understand what is working and what is valuable, what is the richness of Russian schools here, and hold on to those. Don't let them go, even if there will be people, politicians and international organizations and consultants who will ask you to do more other things and less of those important things. But I think you have to stand strong, because one thing that I can see happening around the world, in most parts of the world, is that the drama and music and arts and physical activity, those things that have disappeared almost in many other systems that are very strong here in Russia, they are going to come back one day. And it may be that there will be shiploads of people coming to see how you maintain those things here in Russia. So hold on to the important things while you improve and try to elevate your school and your own work to the next level. Yeah, it's a great question, really, and it's a little bit like you asking the question that is it valuable for young people to go to school? And if you go to school without knowing what you do, if you go to school just to see what's happening there, you're probably not going to learn very much. And it's the same thing with the conferences like this. That if you just show up here and the first time when you look at the conference program is here, then you probably don't learn very much. So if you speak to the conference participants here, or any conference, who are happy with what they're having, they're almost always people who have done their homework before, so they know exactly what they want to do. They take a look a little bit who are the other people coming there, and they often come with somebody else rather than coming alone. So for me, the conferences like this are learning events. This is a place where you come to learn, and you don't learn if you don't prepare yourself well for this. So it's so much depends on how people approach this. I'm sure that there are some people there who just walk in and they have no idea what's going on, they meet some interesting people and then they go away. But there are many people here who have really done their homework and planned carefully what they want to do. They have their own stories to tell and share, and they try to learn all the time. So it really depends what is your own kind of a mode of learning when you come here.